right, folks, what is going on? This is episode 418 of the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller, and as the time of this recording, I try to do the shows the day before. So tonight we have the Falcons playing against the Jets. They're going to be on Monday Night Football. Definitely going to try to watch that. So I'm not going to talk too much about that game for this episode. But I'm going to talk a lot more about Georgia Southern and Coach Clay Helton. I just want to talk about how everything has been going on in the off-season up until now. So I'm going to talk about that, and I'm going to give you my thoughts and opinions on any situation that has happened when it comes up to the Falcons playing the Jets at a later time. So probably you will see another video about the actual football game that's going on, and we'll talk about that at that time. If this is your first time here, welcome to the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller. Over here we talk about Georgia Southern Atlanta Falcons football. I can be found on YouTube and Rumble. Also, I'm on Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. And basically, I want to talk about Coach Clay Helton. I really do, because I think this team, just this whole situation that's going on this offseason in general is not getting enough praise from a lot of outsiders. And I get it. We don't get this type of talk with Georgia Southern pretty much anywhere. I mean, when you talk about, Georgia sports, for instance, is usually, and they really didn't, don't even give us that much praise for the state of Georgia in general. It took a long time for the Bulldogs to actually get some real praise until they won the national title. But when you look at the Falcons, Braves, the same thing with them. The Braves kind of got more of an appeal than any other team overall, but it was still this kind of stigma with the Braves until they won the title. But when things are rumbling and when things are changing and you see things moving around for the better, it's a lot of silence. I did an episode about this when we talked about the Atlanta Falcons. There was a lot of positive news coming out of the Atlanta Falcons during the offseason. It wasn't that much talk, outside of that one reporter saying that we had the worst roster, but that's another story for another day. But when you talk about what Georgia Southern doing, they're doing something really good. I think Coach Clay Helton has these guys very, very focused on this season. Now, does that equates to wins? No, they're really going to have to do their thing on the field. And I feel really this team is going to surprise a lot of people. I think that Coach Clay Helton got these guys so focused and motivated, they're going to get some upset wins. And to be honest, I would not be surprised if they go toe-to-toe against Nebraska and beat them. And it's a lot of rumblings on that lately. You've seen a few people on the outside starting to talk about that because Nebraska is not, you know what I'm saying? They could be had. I just say that. And what Georgia Southern's doing and what Coach Clay Helton, not only just him, but the coaching staff in general, what they have been doing with this team, this team looks very confident. This team looks like they're not scared of anybody. They look like they're ready to go. They feel like, when I really don't want to talk about the last regime, but when you look at the team that played against, like the LSU, when we played Auburn, or when we played, I think the time we played Auburn, or the time that we played Georgia Tech, NC State, we were going toe-to-toe with a lot of those teams back in the day. But I ain't gonna say toe-to-toe with a lot of them. I think the NC State game was a really good game. I think the fumble in that game really hurt us. The Minnesota game was another one. It's a game I don't like to talk about. But we played our heart out to stay, up in those games. We played very tough. We played with a lot of grit and determination. This Georgia Southern team coming up, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think we're just going to be honestly feel like we could play with anybody. And it is not like the small team going up against the Goliath. When we go up against Nebraska, these guys are going to be a lot more focused than most people think. When we play against Morgan State, I feel that we're going to play them like we're a Power 5 team. And I feel it's going to be a bad day for Morgan State. That's just my personal opinion. The UAB game, for some reason, that game scares me more than the Nebraska game. But I feel like we could do something with that game. All the other games we're pretty much looking at, Ball State is going to be really interesting. I would like to go to that game. I may pull some strings to make that happen. I'm not sure yet. I know my work schedule. I already know what it is, but I may try to pull some strings to make that happen. But the Ball State game is another one. I think we could shock some people by beating them in Paulson. We beat them in Paulson, and its eyes going to really be looking ahead. Now, I see us. I literally see us after the first 4 games. We go play against Coastal Carolina. I see us at 3-1. I really feel that way. And it's because of what Coach Clay Helton is doing. I feel like he has this team focused on a path to where these guys going to not, feel like they're, elevated. They're not going to just feel like they can play football. They're going to feel like they can win at football. The places that the pieces that he put together, the Jeremy Singletons and the Cal Van Treeses and, the other quarterbacks, the Jalen White is going to have a lot of confidence. The front offensive line, they're going to be looking to make some things happen. The receivers, I just talked about Jeremy Singleton, but the rest of these guys, there's going to be a problem for a lot of these guys to try to cover these receivers for Georgia Southern. And I think that's where the confidence is going to be built at. It's not going to be necessarily a run-first team. I would like for it to be a run-first team because I want to see what our running game can do because we got some good running backs. But I think with the arm of Van Treese, it's going to be a little bit more of a flip side, especially if we can get it up and running. I think I think the hot hand is just going to be feeding the team. If we're going to be able to move the ball through the air, I believe that's how it's going to be. If I feel like we're going to get with the running game, I think that's how it's going to be as well. But to circle back, because I can talk about what I think is going to happen, but when you look at everything that's happened in the offseason and all the players that are here, you don't hear much of anything but football. Coach Helton got these guys focused. They got these guys believing in something. They got these guys ready to go and do some things to make it happen on the football field. And that's one thing that, like I said, nobody's really been talking about. Not many people have been talking about what this team looks like now. Everybody's talking about the wow, and I'm guilty of it. Everybody's been talking about the wow factor and what's been going on with the team and how much different it looks. And, look at what Kyle Van Treese is doing with the football. Everybody is doing their part, is making things happen. I get it. I'm not knocking it. But when you look at the big picture of this team is very focused. You don't hear anything that's going on outside of football. There's no off the field rumblings. You also have to understand, and it's not a knock on the last regime, but there's been some rumblings on a lot of players the last 3-4 years of the last regime. This whole incident that happened in the 3-9 season is nothing like necessarily it's nothing necessarily new. Now we all could sit here and say the Shao Wirt situation was a bunch of BS. I mean that right there was some foolery. But during that same time, we had another player that was arrested on some really crazy stuff in Florida. Nobody really wants to talk about that, and I'm not here to talk about that. But there was a situation the same time that Shao Wirt situation was going on that was wild. That was crazy. Then I'm not even going to talk about the other incidents that was going on within the program that led to a player dismissed from the team, which I really found out that was so unfortunate because he was so talented. He was so talented. He could have. You talk about a kid. I really don't want to say this because I know Coach Clay Helton would have had a field day with Wesley Kennedy. Coach Clay Helton could have done some major things with the talent of a Wesley Kennedy. And it's so unfortunate that he's not on the team. I really wish he was here. I really, really wish he was here. And it's so unfortunate. But when you look at all the things that's been going on with this team, 3, 4, 5, I ain't say 5 years, but 3, 4 years ago, up until now, like all that stuff has just stopped. You don't hear nothing. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed, you don't hear nothing. And as much as I love the coach from the last regime, I really do. Just got to call a spade at the same time. It got to the point where he lost control of the team. But now when you look at what we have now, Coach Clay Helton got this team focused. You don't hear nothing. I don't know if there's anything that's going on that we don't know about, but you don't hear anything. These guys going down to Savannah, having the scrimmage, having a kids clinic, the women's clinic. I don't even know if the players were involved in that, but the women's clinic was a phenomenal thing. I mean, that's like one thing that they always do as far as the as far as the yearly thing that they do. But you also have to understand that when you bring in a football coach, a guy that's going to come in and make some things happen, shake some things up, actually do things that make you be focused and change the direction, not only of the path of your team, but changes the path of players, of what they may feel about certain things in life, or how they may feel about things of them growing and becoming from a young man to a man. Coaches are a really big part of a kid's development, even when they're in Pee Wee football, little league, or whatever you want to call it. But I see the change in this team, and it's a phenomenal thing, man. It's really cool to see that these kids, these young men, are focused on football, and it's not like it's not like it was like necessarily, I would say, needed. To an extent, you could say that because Jared Benko thought otherwise. But when you look at what these guys are doing, it changed a lot of people. You can see how some of these guys are just like laser focused. Not saying that they weren't before, but you just see how laser focused that they are. They want to play football. They want to be successful at football. And this is the type of thing that I can honestly say this is the type of thing that Coach Clay Helton brought to the table that nobody really talked about. I want to, I really want to know like the really big deal why 5th, 6th, and 7-year players wanted to come back to play. They could have been doing anything else, but they wanted to come back and play when this coach touched down. And I find that very fascinating. It's like I said, it's basically one of the things that haven't been talked about when it comes to what Coach Clay Helton brought from USC to here. Because when you look at the total package, the offense is changing. Will Harris coming in, changing defense. Merritt coming in as a running backs coach. Oh goodness, I can't remember the offensive coordinator. I want to say Ryan Applin. I think I got that right. If I didn't, please forgive me. Applin, I think he's a quarterback coach. You got the offensive coordinator coming in. They're changing the culture of this team. What we know of Georgia Southern from the 80s, the 90s, and the 2000s, the 2010s, what we've known about them is pretty much is in the past now. We are opening up a very new regime and a very new chapter in Georgia Southern football. And not only is because of the philosophy on the field that is there, but we're also seeing that players that are here are actually have a different mindset. The whole GS mentality is still there, but it seems like it's more of I want to say more of a laser focus type of outlook, or a modern outlook of being a GS man. I see that. It gets me so excited when September 3rd comes, which is like less than 2 weeks away. I want to see that translate on the field. I cannot wait to see how it plays out. It's going to be a great time, guys. I really believe that's going to be phenomenal to watch and see what this team does. But if you haven't been paying attention, it's a good time to pay attention now, because somebody like me and others, the guys in the Discord, the guys that are on Twitter, the guys that are out there on the other forums or out there in the other groups, they see what's going on here, and some of them are still sitting here wanting to. They still want to be a little skeptical and negative, and that's fine. But there's no denying what they see here. This is something really, it's a beautiful thing when you really look at it. I just can't wait to see how this all unfolds. I mean, the first 3 or 4 games is really going to tell us. It's going to be really compelling, and it's really great because the first 4 games aren't conference games, so it's going to be somewhat of a test. Then you go through the gauntlet. I can't wait to see how this plays out. If you like this commentary, hit the like button, share this podcast, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. What you guys think? I think that Coach Clay Helton definitely has this team focused. I really like what I see, and I can't wait to see what's going to be happening on the field. What do you guys think? Do you think that it's all for nothing, or you think it's going in the right direction? I'm loving what I see overall, and I can't wait to see how it manifests on the field, because off the field, you don't hear any rumblings. You don't hear anything going on. You just hear these guys ready to ball. They're ready to play. They're ready to hit somebody. And it's great to see what type of discipline is going here. Hopefully nothing's going on after this recording. Something crazy happens in the news. It'd be wild, Let me know what you guys think. I am on Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. I'm also on YouTube and Rumble. You can check me out over there. I also have a Patreon if you want to catch the extra episode every week of the First and Frame Rate Show. I do an extra episode on the weekend, so you guys can check that out. I started that back up, and I want to thank you guys for the support. I can't thank you guys enough. Share this commentary. Send it to somebody. Send this to some people in the Sun Belt. Let them know what we're doing over here. Just let them know. All right, y'all. I'm going to get up out of here. You guys have a fantastic Tuesday. I will see you guys on Wednesday. Hopefully we'll be talking about this Falcons-Jets game, which is I'm going to be watching that very soon. All right, y'all. Y'all take it easy. Y'all be blessed. Peace.